Come on, just one more round.
How do you lose the gamble this round? We'll definitely get hands. I need to buy my MA Body Pillow Deluxe.
What are you guys doing here? You've been playing here for the last 72 hours. What are you guys freaking doing?
Well, unfortunately, it's not just these two guys. Every day in Singapore, someone places their first bet. And for many people, that single bet quickly turns into a habit and eventually into a huge problem that we call gambling. Then, why is gambling such a huge problem? Well, first, in Singapore, gambling is accessible anywhere and anytime. You can gamble within seconds on your computer, your phone, or literally anywhere, right? Which makes it very easy to fall into addiction. Second, gambling very negatively affects the financial stability and the mental health of the gamblers themselves, as well as their families and friends. According to a study, 97% of the treatment-seeking online gamblers reported financial problems, while 85% experienced emotional issues and relationship problems. And lastly, gambling addiction is often very difficult to spot until the damage has become already very serious. So by the time most people realize that it's a problem, it's already too late. So for this reason, we believe that it's very important to intervene and decrease gambling behavior very quickly before it evolves into a serious addiction. But to do that, we first need to understand what the early signs of gambling addictions look like and how we can address it.
What it's about, we aim to use statistics not just to understand gambling problem, but to predict it. And with a simple intervention device like a reward system, we aim to reduce gambling problem before it gets any worse. For this purpose, we designed a free app for gambling addicts to reduce their gambling frequency. The core feature of our app includes a daily mood tracker, gambling blocker, and a panic button. Other features are self-explanatory, but the panic button calls all listed emergency contacts or whatever the user sets. Our product uses GBFI, which stands for Gambling Behavior Frequency Index, as the mean statistics to analyze the gambling frequency of users. Some of the data for calculating GBFI will be collected through shopping apps that users uses in the phone, while other data will be provided by external agencies like banking services. During the week, if the GBFI rate drops, which means the user's gambling frequency has dropped, our app will reward the user. Such rewards include point rewards system and vouchers. However, if the GBFI value increases, we will warn the user by sending warning notifications and introduce them to an intervention program.
Let's dive into the core mechanism of our product, which is the linear regression model. We chose strategic metrics as our independent variables, ranging from basic demographic data like gender and employment status to more nuanced metrics like impulsivity score and monthly discretionary spending. All this data is not extremely hard to obtain, and the beauty of the model lies in the fact that we can leverage these seemingly unrelated data to make a prediction of gambling behavior in the future. Here's the full list of the independent variables, as you can see in the dataset. And for the last column here, GBFI, or Gambling Behavior Frequency Index, as mentioned earlier by Enzo, is our dependent variable for the regression analysis. GBFI combines several key gambling behaviors, which is shown here. This gives us a comprehensive measure of gambling engagement. Now let's jump into our code. This is where the magic happens. First, we load our dataset by using the red CSV file. You'll notice in CSV file that married status is coded as S1, S2, and S3. S1 represents married, S2 represents diverse, and S3 represents the single status. But for proper regression analysis, we need to convert this into binary categorical variables. We'll set married as our baseline, giving us the value table. The value table is shown here. When both S2 and S3 equal 0, we're looking at married individuals. Now for the exciting part, running our linear regression model. After running the code for the raw model, we'll get the following. We get a pretty good R-square of 0.94. However, we didn't just stop there. Let's check the skewness of our independent variables to ensure our model assumptions are valid. For this, we'll need to install the moments library, which I have done here. This skewness analysis will tell us if we need to transform any variable to improve our model's accuracy. It appears that the skewness of our online subscriptions is conspicuously high, over 2, which is the commonly used threshold for doing log transformation. By doing our log transformation, we will obtain a higher adjusted R-square compared to our first model. Comparing the first two models, we notice that the p-test for online subscription is pretty high, with a value of 0.5, which makes it not that significant. So after filter out the online subscription and we run the model again, we get an even higher adjusted R-squared, which is 0.94. So we will choose our final model 3 as our model.
To dive into the statistical analysis of our product's reward system and its impact on the user behavior, in our app, the reward system is designed to motivate users to reduce gambling behaviors by offering positive incentives such as free vouchers. To see if the reward system is impactful, which will be measured by GBFI, we use two key tools, hypothesis testing and confidence intervals. We tested two hypotheses. Hypothesis: rewards have no impact on behavior. Alternative hypothesis: users with rewards show lower GBFI values. First, we check the average GBFI scores for both groups. Here, R calculates the mean and the standard deviation, which gives us a snapshot of how two groups compare. The with rewards group had a lower GBFI, suggesting reward might improve behavior, but we needed to test if this difference was statistically meaningful. Before running tests, we can better visualize the data by creating a box plot to see the distribution side by side. As can be seen from the gap between the two boxes, the without rewards group had a higher GBFI values, but we needed numbers to confirm this wasn't just a random chance. To do this, we used unpaired t-test. This tells R that our two groups, users with rewards and without rewards, are independent groups, not the same people measured twice. The t-test comments like this. As mentioned earlier, we set paired as false and alternative as greater to indicate that our alternative hypothesis is GBFI without reward is greater than the with reward. This process makes our test more reliable. There are two ways to interpret our result. First, our t-test gave a p-value less than 0.001, which is far below the 0.05 threshold we set earlier. This rejects the null hypothesis, strongly supporting our idea that reward do reduce GBFI value. Second, the 95% confidence interval for this difference in the GBFI values has a lower bound of 3.76. This means we're 95% confident that our true difference in user behavior is at least 3.76 units, suggesting the reward system has a measurable positive effect. Since our null hypothesis is the difference between the two groups should be 0, which doesn't fall into this range of 3.76 to infinity. Thus, we reject the null hypothesis.
So, to wrap things up, our group has shown today that statistical analysis can do more than just explain a problem. In fact, it can guide real, actionable business solutions to prevent and improve serious social problems like gambling. In the future, we will strengthen our collaboration with agencies, governments, and related NGOs to intervene and prevent gambling more effectively in Singapore. And at the center of this is statistical data analysis, a powerful tool that drives our insight and decision. Thank you very much.